Therun Saranai. Welcome to another session of Aloka Dhamma discussion. As always, today we have in our studio Venerable Sri Lanka Kalandasana Thero, and with great gratitude, I welcome Sir you to our studio. We've been discussing about multiple topics in last couple of months. So today I thought to go into a different dimension about our relationships and how do we develop our relationship. For most of us, life has become a transaction, a business. Unfortunately, sometimes our personal relationships also has become very transactional. Being benevolence or being friendly and having a true friendship is a good human quality. In Buddhism, we talk a lot about the concept of benevolence, which is metta. Venerable Sir, can you explain this concept of benevolence from the Buddhist point of view?
With respect to Venerable Mahasangha, Mr. Karagala, and dear devotees, metta or maitri, also known as loving kindness, is explained in Visuddhi Magga as Mejjatiti metta sinihatiti atto mitteva bhava mittassava esa pavattitipi metta. It fattens the friendship, mejjati. It is a solvent that melts the psychic pollutants of anger, sinihati. Also, it comes about with respect to a friend, mitta, or it is behavior towards a friend, therefore it is called loving kindness, metta. Dear devotees, loving kindness is characterized here as promoting the aspect of friendliness and, when prefer, welfare. It is manifested as the removal of annoyance. Its proximate cause is seeing lovableness in beings. It succeeds when it eliminates ill will, and a person fails when produces selfish affection. If a person can develop loving kindness into high levels, it definitely will become the perfect antidote to the negative feelings like resentment, anger, ill will, and hatred. Since it takes the approach of friendship, even the hostile individuals turns into a friend. To start with, the practitioner should review the danger in hate and the advantage in patience. Why? Because hate has to be abandoned and patience should attain when developing meditation practice, as it is not possible to abandon unseen dangers and attain unknown benefits. Now, the danger in hate should be seen in accordance with such suttas. Duttoko auso dosena abhibhuto pariyadinna chitto panampi hanati. The meaning is, when a man is a prey to hate and his mind is obsessed by hate, he kills living things or living beings. This is mentioned in Anguttara Nikaya, which explain the danger of hate. The advantage of patience is mentioned in Dhammapada Buddha Vagga, Kanti paramang tapo titikha Nibbanang paramang vadanti Buddha. The Buddhas say, no higher role than patience, and Nibbana or Nirvana is the supreme bliss. And in Samyukta Nikaya, it is given as Kantya bhiyona vijjati. No greater thing exists than patience. You should embark upon the development of loving kindness for the purpose of secluding the mind from hate, which is a danger, and introducing it to patience, known which is an advantage. Dear devotees, at the very beginning, and that loving kindness should be developed towards certain kinds of persons, but not towards certain other kinds. Following types of people should be avoided at the beginning. First one is an antipathetic person. Put him in a dear one's place is fatiguing. A very dear loved friend, put him in a neutral person's place is also hard. And next one is a neutral person. Putting him in a dear one's place is also very strenuous. A hostile person, anger springs up in him. And next one, it should not be developed specifically towards the opposite sex, because lust develops. The last type, towards a dead person. He reaches neither absorption nor access. In Pali, we call jhana level. You can't obtain jhana by spreading the loving kindness to a dead person. Dear devotees, first of all, it should be developed only towards oneself, doing it repeatedly as ahang avero homi, abhyapajjo homi, anigo homi, sukhi attanang pariharami. May I keep myself free from enmity, affliction, and anxiety, and live happily. After that, in order to proceed gradually, you can develop loving kindness towards a teacher or a preceptor who inspire you with respect and reverence met. May this good man be happy and free from suffering. To get into the next level, dear devotees, you should develop loving kindness towards a very dearly loved friend, then towards a neutral person, then towards a hostile person. So this is the way we should develop the loving kindness.
Venerable Kalandasara Thero explained about the different types of people with whom and against whom we should not spread our loving kindness. But the problem is not that, and in addition to that, it is clear that we will easily spread the loving kindness towards a person with whom we deal day in and day out and to whom we love. But how can we develop our benevolence or the loving kindness towards a person we don't like, or a hostile, or against an enemy, at least up to some level of kindness which we have towards a loved person?
And Mr. Karagala, if resentment arises in you when you applies your mind to a hostile person because you remembers wrongdoings of that person, you should get rid of the resentment by entering repeatedly into loving kindness towards that person like very dearly loved friend. And then after you emerge each time from your samadhi, you should direct your loving kindness towards that hostile person. If resentment continues, you should be cautious by remembering Lord Buddha's words in Majjhima Nikaya Kakachupama Sutta. Ubato dandakena chepi bhikkave kakachena chora ocharaka anga mangani okanteyyon tatrapiyo mano padoseya nameso tena sasana karo. Even if bandits brutally severed limb from limb with a two-handled saw, he who developed hate in his heart on that account would not be one who carried out my teaching, said Lord Buddha. So dear devotees, by responding an angry man in same way, you will be worse than the angry man and not win the battle. You will do to yourself the things that help your enemy. And you will be like a fire log which cannot be used for any other purpose because it is burning in both ends and contains foul matter of corpse in the center. If the resentment subsides when you strives and makes effort in this way, it is good. If not, according to the Agata Pativinaya Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, you should remove irritation by remembering some controlled and purified state in that person, which inspires confidence when remembered. Suppose if a person has the control in his bodily behavior with his control in doing an extensive course of duty known to all, though his verbal and mental behavior are not controlled, then the latter should be ignored and the control in his bodily behavior should be remembered. Another may have the control in his verbal behavior and his control known to all. He may naturally be clever at welcoming, kindly, easy to talk with, though his bodily and mental behavior are not very good. Then the latter should be ignored and the control in his verbal behavior should be remembered. Dear devotees, another person may have the control in his mental behavior and his control in worshipping at shrines, during meditation, etc., which is evident to all. But his bodily and verbal behavior are not controlled. Then control in his mental behavior should be remembered and the latter should be ignored. But Mr. Karagala, there may be people whom not even have the control of any of these three things. Then compassion for that person should be aroused, as though he is going about in the human world now, nevertheless after a certain number of days he will find himself in hell. Through compassion, irritation subsides. If a person has the control over all three bodily, verbal and mental behaviors, then it is possible to remember any of those three in that person, whichever you like. Development of loving kindness towards such a person is very easy. However, if resentment does not subside when you admonish yourself as mentioned, then you should review the fact that you yourself and the other are owners of their deeds, known as karma. Dear devotees, if the resentment still does not subside in you when you review ownership of deeds in this way, then you should review the special qualities of the Lord Buddha's former conduct. Like in the Kantivadi Jataka story, Bodhisattva ascetic was questioned by the stupid king of Kasi, Benares, "What do you preach, monk?" And the ascetic replied, "I am a preacher of patience." And when the king had him flogged with whip of thorns and had his hands and feet cut off, he felt not the slightest anger. As you review the special qualities of the Lord Buddha's former conduct, the resentment still does not subside in you, since we have been used to the slavery of defilement for a long time. Lord Buddha preached in suttas that deal with the beginninglessness of the samsara, because it is not easy to find a being who has not formerly been your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your son, and your daughters. Now, dear devotees, suppose still you are unable to quench that thought in this way. Then what you should do? You should review the advantages of loving kindness. That is the next step. A person with loving kindness sleeps in comfort, wakes in comfort, dreams no evil dreams, dear to human beings, dear to non-human beings, guarded by deities, has no danger from fire and poison and weapons, has an easily concentrated mind, and that person with a serene expression in the face die unconfused, and he penetrates no higher, will be reborn in the Brahma world. So in this way, by considering the benefits of loving kindness, he can suppress the resentment. Mr. Karagala, if that strategy is also not working, now you should try resolution into elements. How? When you are angry with an individual, what is it you are angry with? Is it head hairs you are angry with, or body hairs, kesa, loma, naka, nails, likewise, or is it in urine you are angry with, or alternatively, is it the earth element, Patavi Dhatu, in the head hairs, etc., you are angry with, or the water element, Apo, or the fire element, Tejo, or is it the air element, Vayu, you are angry with? Likewise, you can contemplate. But if you cannot effect the resolution into elements, you should try the giving of a gift to that particular hostile person. It can either be given by yourself to the other or accepted by yourself from that hostile person. I think now you have clear idea how Lord Buddha has emphasized the importance of the development of loving kindness by giving in various suttas. Actually, I only mentioned those methods briefly. You can find many more remedies to suppress anger and develop loving kindness with various examples in the doctrine. It is your duty to develop the loving kindness in you so that you will be able to conduct a happy and peaceful life.
So Venerable Sri Lanka Kalandasana explained in detail the importance of the control and about the control we should have and the benefits we would get by practicing the loving kindness. And Venerable Sir, you mentioned in addition to that about the barriers and importance of breaking down the barriers of developing loving kindness. So can you explain about these barriers a little bit further deep?
Mr. Karagala, when a person's resentment towards that hostile person has been reduced, then he can turn his mind with loving kindness towards that person too, just as towards the one who is dear, the very dear friend and the neutral person. Then he should break down the barriers by practicing loving kindness meditation over and over again, accomplishing mental impartiality towards the four persons, that is to say, himself, the dear person, the neutral person, and the hostile person. The characteristic of it is, suppose this person is sitting in a place with a dear, a neutral, and a hostile person, himself being the fourth. If a bandits come to him and say, "Sir, give us one person that we may kill him and use his blood as a sacrifice," then if that person thinks, "Let them take this one or that one," he has not broken down the barriers. And also if he thinks, "Let them take me but not these three," there also he has not broken down the barriers either. Why? Because he seeks the harm of him whom he wishes to be taken and seeks the welfare of the others only. But it is when he does not see a single one among the four people to be given to the bandits, and he directs his mind impartially towards himself and towards those three people, that he has broken down the barriers. Given in Metta Sutta, Mata yataniyam puttang ayusa eka putta manurakke evampi sabba bhutesu manasambhavaye aparimana. Just as with her own life, a mother shields her own son, her only child, from hurt, same manner, let all embracing thoughts for all beings be yours. You may feel that like a mother for all the beings in the world. The far enemy to loving kindness is ill will, which is easy enough to identify, but it is much more difficult to identify the near enemy. The near enemy to loving kindness is conditional love, which is selfish and sentimental and expressed for one's own gratification or expecting to gain something in return. When one practices loving kindness, it is not enough to express it mentally during the practice of loving kindness meditation. It should also be expressed in one's verbal and physical actions during all interactions with others. Dear devotees, finally I would say, when one practices loving kindness genuinely and consistently, it should ideally become one's way of life.
So, well, as I've mentioned at the beginning, for most of us, a life or the relationship is a transaction, a business. And for most of us, our life philosophy is about take and give. We try to develop a relationship or help somebody else with an expectation of a return. If we do that, our life will definitely become a transaction. Our philosophy should be give and take. We first give and then, if possible, take, but not take and give. You should help your team and people around you and to people associating with you and establish relationship with others without expecting a return. That will definitely make you a better leader, a better human leader, and a better human being. That brings us to an end of another session of Aloka Dhamma discussion. I thank Malasekara Foundation for being part of this noble cause and the journey throughout last couple of months. And as always, with great gratitude, I thank Venerable Sri Lanka Kalana Dasanatero as always coming down to our studio to share the noble knowledge so you have across the globe. And have a good week and Teruvan Sarvai.